Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. It's dry out there. It is a drought, a transfer drought. Very little action in terms of transfers, and we're not the only ones. You look across the road, Mason Mount, that's it. That's all United have really signed, with Onana on the cards. Arsenal, what's happened to Declan Rice? Where's that deal gone? That's just dead in the water. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. But there is a definite longevity to a lot of these transfer deals. Gvardiol, all quiet on that front as well. It's a drought. It's really, really quiet. And this was supposed to be the week where it all kicks off. Players returning from holiday. And it's not really happening. And I'm wondering if there's a lot of self-preservation. The clubs themselves are squeezing every little penny they can out of every transfer deal and preserving their own interests and making sure they get the best possible deal. And I think that's what's going on. I think RB Leipzig are doing that exact same thing with the Gvardiol deal and West Ham. And I believe they've even agreed a fee, and I don't know why it's not being announced, but there's something going on there. There is something odd about that whole transfer deal. You're wondering if they're just trying to time the announcement or something like that. But in City news, Bernardo Silva is now gaining interest from Barcelona again. They've re-entered the race. That's called, according to Mundo Deportivo. They are reporting that they're in for him. £50 million again is the number, and it's a joke figure, a pathetic figure, nowhere near that valuation. And you can jog on, Barcelona. See you later. I don't care if your missus wants to get some sun in her life. We get a bit here, we get a little bit. Get a sunbed, you get 8 of them. You can afford it. Just go and get something in your life that makes Manchester a more appealing place for you, because Bernardo Silva is extremely valuable to Manchester City Football Club and a very difficult player to replace. I do have one player in mind, though. I'll get onto that shortly, that we could replace Bernardo Silva with, and he is already on the Manchester City books. But Bernardo Silva to Barcelona, for me, it can't happen at 50 million. It can't happen at 60. I'm even upset at 60. I think 65, 70 is the region where you start to go, okay, fair enough. What a servant he's been. Pack your bags, Bernardo. You're off to Barcelona, with PSG as well, reportedly stumbling at the idea of 70 million that City might be asking for. But I can't see it happening now. It's getting longer and longer this goes on for. You get more and more in the camp of City, and looking at the fact that you've left us with no time to replace him. So if you're not going to go for the deal, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Cough up or jog on, basically. And that's the way it should be. And we're not a charity at the end of the day. And if that's the case, then City need to accept that there could be... we don't do last-minute deals with players, certainly not outgoings. And it all seems to be, we talk about at the minute, is players leaving City and players that have seen the treble and hit the heights of the treble, and it's like, well, where do you go from here? And it's sort of like, are you seeking a new challenge? Have you completed football? Do you just feel like you want to change something different in your life and moving on? Or do you not have that guarantee of minutes at City anymore? Mahrez is the other one. But sticking with Bernardo Silva, for me, you have to cough up. And we can't allow it to get to the transfer final week of the window and be talking about a player that's on his way out of the club and we've left ourselves with zero time to replace him. The club are too savvy. We are too streetwise now to allow that to happen. We won't allow that to happen. So if you want him, you better get chopping, get moving, because you pay up, otherwise it's too late, and he's our player. We've got 2 more years left of the guy. So the ball is very much in City's court in this one, as far as I'm concerned. And as much as I don't like the idea of keeping a player that doesn't want to be here, I'm not convinced he doesn't want to be here. I think he's with the missus and he gets home and the missus is like, did you get a move today? Nah, I'm staying at City. Oh, God. And then he goes to City and he has a great time. He always smiles. He's always having a laugh. Every single City video you see in the Inside City episodes where he's just having a laugh, when he's constantly having a good time and he looks happy. On the pitch, same again. Puts in a shift, always first over to the fans to applaud the away fans and the home fans. He's consistently smiling, that young man. So I can't see him being the major instigator to this move out of Manchester City. But Riyad Mahrez is another player that's supposed to be gaining momentum. The move to Saudi League. And are you worried about the Saudi League? Are you looking at that league and thinking they are continuously linked with reasonably high-profile players, with Edouard Mendy from Chelsea, Roberto Firmino from Liverpool? Mahrez would be the biggest coup for that league. But Do you all remember the Chinese league? Hulk, Oscar, Paulinho, all those players that went over, everyone was panicking. Oh my God, someone else has got money. Oh my God, someone else has got money. What are we going to do? And then nothing. Who talks about the Chinese league now? Nobody. It's very, very irrelevant all of a sudden. They just a little flurry, put themselves in the market, announced themselves to the world with a couple of marquee signings, and then it dies, fizzles out into nothing, because the Premier League has got far too much heritage. There's far too much longevity and history and connection with the fans and the clubs. And people accuse City of manufacturing success, which just goes to show that's not the case, because we have heritage, we have history as a club. Even though we've had money injected into the club, there was history and heritage and plenty of it before the money. Hence why the club has got that amalgamation of success. Thanks for a lot of money, no two ways about it, but also the fan base is still there. We're turning out big numbers in the Etihad. We're consistently selling out. It's almost impossible to get season tickets and tickets for the games now. So the heritage is there. You can't manufacture that, and the Saudi League are trying to do that, and players might go over there, a few, Mahrez maybe one, go over there and get a final payday, and what a coup it would be for them to go and get Riyad Mahrez on whatever outrageous wage that he'll be put on. But at the end of the day, a lot of these players are going there for, the payday. And I mean, obviously you got Steven Gerrard going over there and managing, and Benzema as well. He's a huge deal. But again, end of career job, isn't it? It's like the last hurrah for a payday. That's all it seems to be. Kante's another one. And so are you worried about the Saudi League? Personally, I'm not. I think the Premier League is far too big an animal to take on. You won't be able to get in the way of the Premier League. You might be able to kick up a fuss and promote yourselves and become something of a league, of some sort of entertaining, but it won't be Premier League level. Not a chance, not a chance. But going back to the Bernardo Silva, do we have a replacement already in our team? Because we've received £30 million offer for James McAtee, apparently. That's according to The Sun, the very reputable The Sun, of course. So take that with a pinch of salt. But the MEN also reported that they're fending off transfer interest for James McAtee. And he's someone that left-footed, very versatile, plays in attacking midfield. I reckon he could probably drop a little deeper as well, plays out wide. I love watching the guy, the Salford Silva they called him. And what did he get last season? 9 goals, 4 assists in 43 appearances, so not bad. You ask Sheffield United fans and the Sheffield United, the way the staff spoke of him, the manager, that such a highly praised player, and it was. I say it was a shame that he didn't get to play against us in the semi-final of the FA Cup. It wasn't a shame, because I didn't want to face him, because he's a top quality talent that could have genuinely caused us problems on that day. And thankfully, him and Doyle didn't get to play, and that's the nucleus of their midfield that was missing. And could Tommy Doyle come back as well? He's another player that's got potential. He's not at the level of James McAtee for me. But 20 years old James McAtee, for me, it's now or never. And it's incredibly rare to see a player go out on loan, especially at a high-profile club like City and other clubs like that. When at that level, when you loan out a player, you rarely see them come back and make it into the first team in the club that they've left from, that they've been loaned out from. It rarely happens. So for McAtee to do it, I hope he does. That would be incredible to see that the loan system working as it's intended to do. None of these buyback clauses and option to buy and little dipping your toe in the water with players but without fully committing to them, and really tossing them about, really. The players getting disregarded for their own careers and just being thrown from club to club and stuff like that. So many players spend years on loan, year after year after year, loan after loan after loan, and you hope that doesn't happen with James McAtee, and I hope to see him come back into the City team and play. But is he good enough to fill the boots of Bernardo Silva? That it would be amazing to see, because we do get the money accusations. Obviously, we've got Phil Foden's the champion of our academy, the way the CFG and the way our academy works, and he is like the placard of the academy, and like that's who we champion. But Cole Palmer is another one that's coming in through the ranks and getting a little bit more minutes. Could he be loaned out to Brighton as well? I'd like to see him replace Mahrez potentially. He's another one that we could be talking about. Do we already have the talent in our squad that we can just promote these players into more responsible roles, and they're getting more minutes under a Pep Guardiola first team, and not be considered a cup player just to play against the minnows of the lower leagues And then in the Premier League, sorry, you're not good enough for the Premier League. Can we promote these players and give them more responsibility in playing in the bigger games? I'm not sure about James McAtee. Cole Palmer, I've got more faith in. I think he's got a bigger future and more potential of being a City first team player. Brighton on loan is a huge step for him because that's a club that's very, very high standard of football. Europa League standard of football. So I think Brighton would be an amazing place to go and prosper and increase your ability and your qualities and learning new trades of the game and things like that. So I do think that would be a good step for him. James McAtee coming back, I like the idea, and we'll be able to shove it down the throats of the opposition fans and rivals that continuously say, but you don't have any youth team players, you just buy your way to success. It would be amazing to see Phil Foden on the left, Cole Palmer on the right, James McAtee in the middle, and we've got Callum Doyle as a potential centre-back, and there's another player that we've been linked with, which is very youth today. We're talking a lot about the youth, and Harrison Parker is another player that City have been interested in from United, a 16-year-old centre-back that we're supposed to be poaching from United, and that would be nice, but they're getting their revenge, apparently, as Darren Fletcher's sons, Jack and Tyler. United are getting them the other way from City's academy to United's academy. So a bit of a swap system going on there. So it'll be interesting to see if these players can prosper, come through the academy, and one day could we see 3, 4, maybe even 5 players from the academy playing in a first team of Manchester City Football Club. That would be incredible to see. It warms the hearts of Manchester City fans to see us, in particular the local lads, the ones that are from the area, from Manchester area. That it's amazing to see these players come through the ranks and make it at that level, and it gives hope to the rest of the lads in that setup as well. Can they do it, Blues? But what do you think about the transfer news? What do you think about Bernardo Silva going to Barcelona now? Are you getting fed up with it? Personally, I am. Do you want to see a decision be made? Mahrez to the Saudi League. How do you see the Saudi League as a threat to the Premier League? Do you consider them a threat at all? And what do you think about the idea of James McAtee coming back into the first team of a Pep Guardiola Manchester City side? Does that excite you, or would you rather see a marquee signing come in, someone for big money, from usually across the seas, a Gabri Veiga type player, someone like that coming in instead? Or would you rather see us save the money? Let me know in the comments, Blues. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up Silva.